Dear humanity, it's me, Zenzi. I used to have a payroll named Deb. And I've taken on the stage persona, hashtag redheaded She-Hulk. But I am about to go extinct. I am flummoxed as to what all y'all want me to do. I have pitched hundreds of people. I have commented thousands of times over 2 years. I need accommodations. I am autistic AF. Have been my whole life. But nobody ever gave a damn to notice. Nobody ever suggested, because I leaned into what I was good at versus ever depending on a system, a plantation capitalism, to pay for what was wrong with me. Now, we all should be living in a society that prioritizes what's right with us over what's wrong with us. But we currently live in a civilization that assumes that humans are all the same. And we have to go around with this label, disabled. These humans, as far as my experience, are exquisitely abled, just in ways that our society wants to ignore. Now, I am the founder of hashtag wellbeing philosophy, the entirely new category of philosophy that thinks about how we think about being human as not this inherent concept of typicalness, and that everyone should be funneled into, and if you can't funnel into being like everyone else, pretending, acting, numbing, you end up with a lesser version of life. Now, I have been destitute for 15 months, homeless for approaching 9. I need a patron. I have asked for this 10,000 times, and I haven't gotten one substantive response. I sat in the parking lot of my alma mater, Carnegie Mellon, and they left me to die in that parking lot. None of the over 50 expertly crafted emails to professors and professionals alike across the entire spectrum of the university that deals with what I deal with, which is philosophy, neuroscience, psychology, biomedical engineering. No one was present to an email pouring my heart and soul at a university that's now all about my heart is in the work. It is fucking not. Nobody's is. That's how plantation capitalism works. Now, part of why I don't have the ability to put my own oxygen mask on is simply because I have done so much pro bono thought experimentation that nobody conceives of. Do you see what I'm dealing with here? I have sensory overwhelm. And the sound, but more the exhaust of that old truck. It's making my throat collapse in the middle of my plea to stay alive. Every single time I get started asking for help, I end up being harmed. This is my story, and it's actually the story of all of us. Y'all want to know how I've stayed alive. Y'all want to know what I know about consciousness. Because I am the little, although quite large, redheaded girl who's grown up to be able to give Sigmund Freud vagina envy. I have a much more intricate and inclusive definition of subconscious that includes all 7.9 billion humans across every nook and cranny of Earth. I'm not leaving a single person behind when it comes to explaining consciousness, when it comes to redefining humanness. That is also not just inclusive of all of us, but integrative of body, mind, and soul. All this science y'all promoting to religion, science says it is based on a faulty, flawed, and fraudulent paradigm that has separated body and mind. That's the Cartesian split. Rene Descartes, I think, therefore I am. That is the foundation of dualism. The body and the mind. We have chronic disease, but then we also have mental illness. All of these myriads of diagnoses of chronic circumstances and conditions, they all have one underlying baseline commonality: the inhumanity of human civilization. This causes toxic and polluted environments, sensory overwhelm, and it also causes brains to go blah! Because brains don't function well in a society that cares about simply profit. Zenzi agrees with me. Thank you, Puppy. My co-star is also experiencing destitution and homelessness, and she needs the ability to get out this car just as much as I do. I am tired of having everyone I ask for help give me advice that I'd already, in my asking for help, told them I couldn't take. If it gave me advice that was actually useful, I'd take it, but nobody has so far. Now, I'm using things like everyone and no one because I'm not trying to harm any specific individual. People are intending to help me. They're just deluded because of the social media feeds that pretend that advice is all any human needs, and law of attraction, they fix their stuff. Let me tell you something. I can run experiments on the law of attraction that will be peer-reviewed and prove that we are beings of sound. We are beings of electromagnetic frequency between 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz. I am the sheet Einstein of consciousness. What I know in my brain creates a better world for every human on this planet. And no people on this planet that I have asked so far have been present or capable of introducing me to the patron who can write the check to fund my entercation empire so I can do this. Perform in trance, in a flow state, about the philosophical hypothesis of bioelectricity, which tells us what consciousness is, where our subconscious is, why we are all having to numb ourselves or suffering from chronic diseases. Every human's fate is either cancer, heart attack, Alzheimer's. What is the point of creating a longer life frame? So all the billionaires are talking about, we can make it way past 120 years. The civilization isn't prepared to offer humans freedom and pleasure in our longevity. I'm all about free thinking is priceless. I'm the wise feminine philosopher, degreed from Carnegie Mellon University with 2 decades of Silicon Valley software consulting under my belt, and I ended up destitute and homeless. Every single one of y'all, you're one tiny, completely indivisible and individual and invisible circumstance in our world from having your life taken away from you. For me, it was a toxic mold exposure. Moved into an apartment under duress because I was suffering from absolute poison of cigarette smoke. Disallowed to renew a lease by a extraordinarily evil leasing company who on paper had made the complex smokeless. But what that actually meant is all the smokers who'd been smoking in their own apartment were now smoking at the entrances of the complex, meaning my exposure to smoke had now not just quadrupled, I don't even know the actual word, it was 25 times more, and cigarette smoke is My kryptonite! It's all our kryptonites. That's where the hashtag Redhead is She-Hulk comes in. We may not like Bill Bixby when he's angry. You will not like me when I expose the truth that we are all dying from global warming. Excess carbon is not just out in the atmosphere in some concept that we can't conceive of out there. Human health, all of us are dying from excess carbon monoxide in the air we're breathing right now. All right, I went on. I do. I'm neurocomplex. I'm autistic as fuck. And I need accommodations. I need these auditions to start getting to people who can fund my performance career. Tell you what, if you are the patron who can invest 8 figures, low 8 figures, we will beat Elon to $1 trillion. Life-centric thinking, my brand of thinking, belongs to every single one of the 7.9 billion humans. There is abundance in sharing it as widely as possible and ensuring we don't just let the people with all kinds of disposable income know about this. It's a performance for everyone. Know anything about me, you'll know I am a Pan-Africanist. I think that the birthplace of our entire species is the next place of our entire species. And I am directly consulting the ancestors, our African ancestors. We are all African ancestrally. In order to be one of the most prominent people caring for our next ancestors. We are on the verge of self-extincting as a species in approximately 30 years. And while many need to go about this with all kinds of lovely woo-woo niceness, somebody has to bridge the gap between all of the love and power woo-woo people and the heinousness of our current systems. I'm that person. My software career, I was the one communicating between HR and IT. Now everyone is an amateur telling me there's something wrong with my communication. There is not. You just can't handle my truth. Technology can't handle my truth. And people who are scared to death because they're in exactly the same financial circumstances of being imprisoned in cubicle captivity also can't handle this truth. That's why I'm failing. But I will change this world for the better for all of us. This has been Zenzi. Payroll name Deb Helfrich. And a YouTube channel called that. Harmony, y'all.